Hello, I'm Gordon McClellan from Creeping Toad, and I'm your storyteller for this session. Have you ever visited Creswell Crags? If you haven't, I really recommend that you do. Physically if possible, if not, go digital. But take a tour. Take a walk down through the dale, stand by the stream, look at the trees, and take a tour into the caves. Go and stand, or sit, or crouch, or tremble in the darkness, and know that when you are in those caves, you are in a place where people have lived for thousands of years. Creswell Crags is a place full of stories. And today, I'd like to share one of those stories, or perhaps some of those stories with you. This is a story that begins a long time ago. A story that begins as the ice melted at the end of the last ice age, as the glaciers withdrew and the land opened up again to seeds and to the long wandering lines of migrating reindeer and the silent heavy tread of mammoths. This is a story from the time when the wolves came running over the hills. And our story begins as the world wakes up after the ice.
We woke as the ice melted, as hooves cut the mud, as the wolves ran, as long wandering trails embedded in memories.
We woke as the first birch seeds and willow lint blew in on the wind. We woke as the first berry dropped through a migrating goose. We woke with seed and shoot and first roots. We woke with the opening leaves. We woke as the world roused.
We woke into wonder and the feel of earth and stone and the warmth of sunlight and the delight of moon glow.
We woke, deep-eyed and laughing, full of the still, dreamy darkness and the groaning voices of ice giants moving in their sleep.
Birch tree woman lifts arms to the moon, combing twigs into hair, while the elder witch shakes flaking bark off scrawny red limbs, and Willow Man bathes root toes in the cool stream, trailing slender fingers and singing the song that calls the salmon home. Rowan grows treasure in clusters, holding it in feathered fingers, while Hazel opens leaves wide and round as eyes, rattling a handful of cobnut knuckle bones, dice, spilling stories, spelling futures.
We stood on the edge of the trees. The thunder-grey cloud of birch shot through with white shafts behind us.
We woke with a rustling rhythm, a stamped percussion, the rattling beat of twigs on bark. We woke, dancing.
Our story then began with the spirits who woke as the ice melted, as the land warmed, as seeds grew. In some places they would be called fairies. In Derbyshire we might still call them boggarts or freetings or hobs like Hobhurst, who has houses and caves all across the Peak District. And our story began with the people who lived in the caves. But as seasons change, and as seasons become years, and years became decades, became centuries, became millennia, the world changed, and people left the caves behind. They built roundhouses and settlements. They built hill forts, and then cottages and castles and churches. They moved into villages, into towns. They left the caves behind. But somewhere, somehow, they always knew that that narrow dale with its stream and its trees and the caves in the sides of the hill, they always knew that that place was special. Never quite safe places, but challenging, secret places, a thrill to dare the darkness, somewhere to linger, to loiter after a day's work, or maybe to avoid that work altogether. Somewhere for a game, to roll the dice, to set up the nine men's Morris, to drink with a friend and lie with a stranger. Somewhere to pen the cattle in the winter, or the sheep before the snow. But always something different, unchancy, never quite safe. Sometimes we'd find a bone, a carved bone, an elf-shot arrowhead, a stone blade, a skull. If you went alone, there were always whispers.
The shadows our candles will not pierce. The darkness our lanthorns cannot banish. The deep caves where the drawings lie, running across the walls in darkness, scratched. Easier to trace with a finger than to see with a light. The cold knife of a thin wind, a well to drop a pin in and pray.
We are the blowing leaves. We are the swaying trees.
We are the blowing leaves.
We are the
We
creaking
are the swaying
board,
trees.
the swinging
We are the
door,
We are the
creaking
blowing
board,
leaves.
the steady
the
drip,
swinging door.
We are the swaying
shadow
We are the
behind
trees.
you,
blowing
Steady
leaves.
We are the
rustle
creaking
above
board,
The
you,
shadow
the swinging
behind
the
door,
dust
you,
beneath your
rustle
bed.
above
steady
you.
drip.
We are the
We are
creaking
dust
The
footprints in
shadow
the
board,
mud.
behind
the
you,
swinging
We are
the
the
door,
rustle
stamping
the
above
dance.
steady
you,
in the
drip,
mud.
the dust
We are the
the
beneath
shadow
your
Shadows
bed.
behind
stamping
you,
dance.
the rustle
We are
the
footprints
above
in the
you,
mud.
walking.
the dust
We are the
beneath your
stamping
bed.
dance. We are the
We are
night
footprints
walking.
in the mud. We are the stamping dance. We are the night walking.
And as the centuries rolled on, the world changed again. Somewhere in the 16th or the 17th century, the church started losing its enchantment. People lost their confidence in the church. Perhaps as Henry VIII destroyed the monasteries and robbed them of their treasures. Perhaps with Oliver Cromwell's Commonwealth and the Puritans. Perhaps it's just the way the world was running then. But somewhere, the church lost its enchantment. And people no longer had the confidence that the church would keep them safe, that there were saints standing between themselves and the wickedness of the world. Just what that wickedness might be was often not very clear. But part of the wickedness, they were sure, was witches. And without the church there, they knew the witches with their spells and a different sort of enchantment, might snare anyone who didn't have protection. And so they turned to other magics, older magics, trying to find a way to feel safe in the world again. Let's stop that there.
I shall gae until I hear with sorrow and such muckle care. I shall gae in the old woman's name, and whill I come
I shall
hame
gae in the
again.
old woman's name, and while I come home again.
A line would serve us well.
A cross might keep us safe.
And crossed, these lines might baffle.
A crooked line confuses.
A curved line deflects.
This square will contain.
The triple cross will bar the road.
A scatter of stars.
A shining sun.
A crescent moon.
A ripple of running water.
A line beside a line beside a line.
Strike the line and strike and strike.
Each line a blow, a beat, a bolt.
This line is an arrow, a knife to cut a witch's flesh.
But will anyone hear? Is Our Lady still listening?
Scratched, scraped, etched, carved,
Scratched.
These
Scraped,
lines will block,
etched,
will bar,
carved,
will
scratched.
bind. These
Scraped,
shapes will keep us
etched,
safe.
Carved.
Pile rune upon
bind.
rune,
These
charm
lines
upon
will
charm,
block, will
sigils
bar,
to banish,
will bind.
letters
These shapes
to
will
plead our
keep us
case.
safe.
We
Pile
crowd
rune
this
upon
slab
rune,
with
charm
fears
upon
and
charm,
hopes.
sigils
We
to
crowd
banish,
this slab
letters
with
to
fears
plead
and
our
hopes.
case. We crowd this slab with fears and hopes.
Write your words on paper. Fold your dreams into corners. Draw your words in chalk and charcoal. They will not keep the witches away. This world has become too full of fear.
Luggy black and lammer bead,
Pits the witches to their
pitch the witches to their
Rowan tree
speed.
and red thread holds the
Rowan
witches
tree
all
and
in
red
dread.
thread holds the witches all in dread.
Well, we've done it!
Will it work?
My hands are still sore from the chisel and the mallet.
Picking the tallow off the candle drips.
But we've
But
done
we've
it.
done it.
Do you
Do you
think
think
it will work?
Do you think the saints will hear us?
Do you think the angels will protect us?
Now that Mr. Cromwell has killed the king, have we lost God's love?
But Lord Jesus would not leave us. Surely not.
But we are the country that killed our anointed king.
What could we do? But what could we do? They don't know, those Parliament men.
No, they don't know. Not about the dark nights. And then whispering voices.
I hear them near my house sometimes. Voices, or the wind whistling through the besoms of their brooms, or maybe just in the tops of the trees.
We can still pray.
But who will hear our prayers?
Can we still light a candle in the church? Or is that forbidden?
The prayer candles are gone from the church. But we could light one at home.
It's not our homes we need to worry about.
No.
It's the cave.
It's the caves.
And the witches.
Oh.
We know where they're going.
Yes, to Hobbs' house up there in the hills by Baslow.
And they take horses too, and ride them fast and hard, and so they are still hot and sweated in the morning.
I don't see them, but...
We hear them. We all hear them. When we walk by the brook, when we settle the sheep in the caves. Whispers and whispers, like 1,000 years of voices trapped in that darkness.
Now that the statues have gone, is there no one to help? Will God still hear us?
But have you still got that head?
Not so loud! I shouldn't have it at all.
What head? Whose head?
I couldn't carry the whole statue, so I took his holy head and hid it in my house to keep our home safe.
But it's not our homes we need to worry about, is it?
No, it's the caves.
How scared were you to cut so many lines, to score so many marks, so many brands to keep the wild away?
Your line will not stop me, nor your cross bind me. The Pope's mark will not brand me, nor Virgin Mary affright me, nor your fence bar me, nor your rope restrain me. The stars are my freedom, the sun among clouds, moon rise and beauty set. That is what holds me. Your small spells and holy enchantments have no power over me at all.
But we will not cross your running water. We will not scorch your line, nor sail the river in eggshells, nor breach your barred cross, nor break the threshold, nor brave the hearth. If you leave us, the wild places, the dark night, the high moors, the cold wind from the north of the world.
That is our offer. We will hold to the line of your prayers. We will hearken to the bitter taste of your witch bottles. We will honour a pact between the tame and the wild. If you will leave us the edges of the world.
And did it work? Did the witch marks keep the wickedness away? And now, after years of digging in the caves, of digging out the cave's secrets, after years of science and reason and social media and computers and televisions and telephones and cameras and everything, does any of the magic still linger? That's really up to you. Maybe only you can answer that. You can certainly only answer it for yourself. But maybe just once in a while, you could take a walk through the crags and stop. And stop and listen. Listen to the wind that blows through the trees. Listen to the ripple of water in the brook. Listen to the whispers in the mouth of the cave. And you can decide for yourself if all the wild witches have gone, and if the fairies have really closed the doors between their world and ours. Thank you.
They don't like it when we dance. Even when they're gone back to their homes and houses of witchmarks and stone faces and bottles in the walls and cats under the hearth. They don't like it when we dance on the edges of night where light and mist and nightmare run together. They don't like it when we dance down here on the lawn by the stream, down here where the moon ripples across the pond, throwing shadows on the grass and calling us out of wood and into flesh.
Elder woman wakes, reaching a twig finger down to the twitching nose of the witch hare. Birch woman laughs herself into a cloud of mist and shadow, and Hazel holds to the song of the stream that has been sung for 10,000 years. Hazel speaks of hope and promise, while Rowan offers the jewels of autumn to the traveller. The hold stones of their past weight their skirts with memories, but in the moonlight they dance, whirling regrets into visions, waking dreams. And with the last leaves of a midwinter morning, Willow Tree Man rattles his twigs into hair, digging his toes back into roots and creaking gently into sleep. He will dream these months away until he wakes in the spring with sap rise and catkin rustle. Walk if you will through the crags past the caves. Pause if you like and wonder at axes and bones and charcoal and witch marks on the walls and all these human things. But remember the trees and a history rooted in earth, memories bound to seasons and a changing world. At midwinter, remember the fairies, the spirits, the first people who still shape themselves from wood into flesh and still dance on the lawns by the pools under the moonlight.